you right to me. How can I not the voice that says we are meant to be? Now I know all they say is true. Everything was on brand new. When you find who's gonna love you. For you are the one that the Lord has sent, and I know it's true.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Please let's fill in the seats in front of us. Let's fill in the seats from the front. Please ensure no seat in front of you is vacant. Let's fill in the seats from the front. Thank you.
It wasn't so simple.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the 79th Power Dialogue. A few housekeeping rules. Let's endeavor to turn off our phones or keep it on silent throughout this event. In case you need to use the convenience is to the left, which is right, and let's keep to the aisles at the extreme ends of the room to avoid interrupting the video recording. The topic of our dialogue, the 79th Power Dialogue, is improving operations of DisCos via smart technologies, causing the possibilities of attaining universal energy access by adopting smarter technologies and the grid. Anchoring the session today is Bode Longe. Bode is a brilliant power utility executive, a chartered accountant, economist, and outstanding finance and investment professional with 2 decades of progressive experience addressing business challenges. A keen problem solver and with impeccable logical reasoning and high numerical accuracy. He has had a driver's seat view of leading post-privatization of the electricity distribution transformation journey. He has overseen the delivery of innovative solutions and strategies by developing and executing end-to-end solutions and high-impact projects and initiatives. He is an accomplished power sector executive with high impact industry innovations to his credit since 2014. He's versed in project finance, transaction advisory, financial advisory, public procurement management from working with private and public sector clients over the years. Before the role at AEDC, he founded BL&C Limited out of passion for entrepreneurial development, facilitation, and capacity building. Let's make welcome our anchor today, Bode Longe.
Good evening, ladies. Right, so you're welcome to the 79th Power Dialogue. I think at this point it'll be helpful to introduce my co-panelists so they can also join us here. In no particular order, right? Please help welcome Onyinye Anene Nzelu. Onyinye, please come take a seat. Feel free anywhere. Close to me is nice, yes. Thank you. Right, so Onyinye, thank you very much. Onyinye is the head of mini grids at Onji Energy Access. At this organization, she's charged with building high-performing team. I think you can see the energy already. That will electrify rural communities, stimulate demand, and build profitable businesses. She's knowledgeable in renewable energy systems, energy management, power utility management, energy market tariff modeling, and power system planning. Wow. She's adept in conceptualizing and implementing innovative policies and systems that improve business efficiency. She's a member of the Association of Energy Engineers, Sub-Saharan Africa Region 2020. She is a Yali Power Africa Youth Women in Africa Power alumnus and the first female certified energy manager in Nigeria. She's versatile. Thank you. Thank you. She's versatile with 9+ years of experience in ICT and energy management. You're welcome, Onye. Okay, help me welcome Prof. Frank Okafor. Please, you can come take a seat, Prof. Well, after I read his profile, you may add to that clap that we just gave. Anyway, Prof, yes, please. Professor Okafor is the past commissioner at Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission, NERC. He started his career at the University of Lagos as graduate assistant between 1985 and 1988, during which time he developed computer-aided control system design tools for research and training. At the peak of the grid collapse in the 90s, he developed a two-area control structure for the Nigerian power system. To improve grid stability, he deployed a robust non-linear controller for automatic generation control. Wow. Now, I hope you get the timeline of this development. I think this is very, very much beyond its time. He was a German Research Foundation postdoctoral fellow at the Technical University Chemnitz, Germany, from 2000 to 2001. And while he was there, listen again, he designed the fully controlled, doubly fed inductor generator, DFIG, for wind energy conversion, best suited for low and very high wind speed and emergency at TU Chemnitz for the brief period due to home calls. Prof. Okafor has several awards, German Research Foundation Fellowship, and the Best PhD Thesis Award in Engineering in 2011 with a student from National Universities Commission. He's a registered engineer, a fellow of the Nigerian Society of Engineers, a member of IEE USA, the German Society Electrical Engineers, and a fellow of the prestigious Nigerian Academy of Engineering. Wow. You're welcome, Prof. And yes, Tom Parkinson, please, Tom, join us on stage. Right. So Tom is the managing director of Stemaco, a provider of end-to-end grid intelligence. By training, he's a maths graduate from Durham University in the UK. He qualified as a chartered accountant at Ernst & Young before moving into banking, working for HSBC in their structured credit department in London. Tom joined Stemaco 7 years ago to take on the challenge of access to energy. He spent 5 years as the CFO, raising over £10 million and bringing in Shell as an investor, before being asked by the board to lead the company following the departure of the original founder. Under Tom's tenure, revenue has grown over 360%. Okay. And the company and the company is now focused on helping utilities collect, protect, and grow using a smart suite of technology. Help welcome again Tom, Prof. Okafor, and Aneni. Great. So I think my job should be easy today. I have glowing resumes of panelists here today, but I think I really couldn't have wished for a better team to speak to the main objective of today's session. So I think I would allow each of the panelists to maybe for 3 minutes or so to just give us a brief introduction. So there's an Igbo proverb I really love, which says you can't shave a man's head in his absence, right? So I have spoken on their behalf. Now let us hear from them. So maybe Tom, we can start from you. Just tell us a bit about yourself. You know what you do, whatever you want us to know, just for 3 minutes. Thank you.
About me specifically, or about Steamaco?
So you in Steamaco, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, well, I guess in Steamaco, what we're trying to do is help people gain access to reliable and affordable power, and that's what drives us, because we fundamentally believe that productive use is the way that we can unlock the potential of countries like Nigeria, and that's the way that the market and the country itself can develop. So we've been working with Prof here on a pilot down in Anambra, and we've got some fantastic results, which no doubt talk through. But what we're trying to do really is focus on the key problems in the sector. So I've been working with the team who are over here this evening on how we can improve the cash collection, because that's the key problem in the sector. We can't get funding into the sector because the Nigerian consumer isn't currently bankable. So it's about making the Nigerian electricity consumer bankable and then getting the investment in to then grow the market and gain access. So that's what we're focused on a day-to-day basis, developing this suite of technologies that helps that. And we act as a technology partner to the DisCos. So we've been pushing really hard in Nigeria for the last probably 18 months. We've been working with the DisCos, working with existing mini-grid developers to work out how we can use our technologies to help them collect more cash. But fundamentally, I think what we're talking about here today is how we can use technology. And one of the things that we're biased, but we believe that people should specialize. And so it doesn't make sense to us for 11 DisCos to be developing their own software systems to be doing these things. We can be doing it at lower costs for everyone, sharing our knowledge to move the sector forward. So we're here today to talk about some of the results we've had. So
great. Thank you so much, Tom. Really looking forward to hearing some of your field experience. Over to you, Prof. Let's hear a bit more about what you've done, your previous stint, and what you're doing now. That'll be helpful. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I will start by correcting an impression. There was this advertorial or something, a marker, because I went saying that I'm CEO of Odida Power. And I want to correct that impression. I'm not CEO of any power. I'm a professor of electrical engineering at the University of Lagos. But then some young people had some good ideas, and we managed to help them link up with Semaco, and all they are doing is fine. And I happen to be the honorary advisor to the project. And, that's my role, not CEO. There's actually nothing like Odida Power anyway. There's no company that is called Odida Power. I'm not the company that is linking up with them. I'm not even a member of the company anyway. So, having said that, the passion one has is to ensure that this system that is called power sector in Nigeria works. And from the day I entered NEC, even before then, I said, if a DisCo can sell power and collect the money, every other thing will follow. Generation transfer, every other thing will follow. Because if you look at the current problem is accountability. And that accountability will remain until technology comes to the rescue. We'll talk about what we are doing, the pilot we are doing. But from there, it has become obvious that what started as an initial speculation is actually the crux of the matter. And I believe that with people like Frank Edozedem here and the moderator with quite good. And also, which is my other part of the job, training young people, because we found out that actually um, we praise people like the lady here who has probably self-trained herself throughout the ladder we talked about. But it's important that um, would we would direct the vision of people and make sure that they are brought towards the direction that will make some of these things work. I can see some people here who I know are developing themselves, and it has been very interesting. I think I should stop.
Fantastic, fantastic. I think once a lecturer, always a lecturer. You could already see the passion, the interest in knowledge and sharing it and developing it. I think that's really fantastic. Thank you so much, Prof. And I'm so excited. It's a very gender balanced, well, at least gender balanced somehow panel. So, Onye, let's also hear from you as well. Tell us about your work, your track, and about ONG access as well.
Thank you very much, and a big thank you to the Nigerian Electricity Hub for this opportunity to be here. Thank you for the privilege. It's an honor to sit, beside some of the strong men in the industry. So my name is Onye Anene, the head of mini grids for NG Energy Access. So at NG, we're in 9 African countries, and we're essentially in the energy access value chain. We supply solar home systems from 10-watt systems, to as much as the regulation allows us to go. In Nigeria today, up to 990 kilowatts, where we build mini grids. Our strategy and our mission is to electrify, provide reliable, affordable service to unserved and underserved communities, and also do that with exceptional customer delivery. So that's essentially what we do. We have one operational site in Nigeria, but we have also built sites across Africa, in Uganda, in Tanzania, in Zambia. And in Nigeria, sometime in Q4 last year, working with our team at EA and also in Cross Boundary, we were able to raise 60 million USD to electrify 150,000 households or people in Nigeria through mini grids. One of the flagship deals that we're able to sign, that funding is coming in through project finance, and essentially shows that, like it said, Nigeria is the biggest mini grid market, and this is where we make a case. Of course, according to the SE for all, there are 92 million unelectrified people. So our focus in our business is essentially that space of unelectrified people. In terms of my personal track, I started off as an engineer. I worked in the DisCos for 5 years. I like to say the DisCos space was my first love. We just came in after the privatization, and we walked through, sat at the back of trucks in the disco, went around clearing faults that took us 18 hours. That the kind of solutions we'll hear about today, we potentially can clear it in 1 hour or less. So I've had all that experience, and even in our time in the disco, we were able to do some work to show that it is to solve the reliability and collection problems, which seem to be the two major problems that the distribution sector faces today, not just for the disco, of course, but for the entire value chain. The project that was done in Magodo at the time, the project that was done in Magodo at the time that it was done, I was quite involved in it at my time in the disco, where we carved out Magodo and gave it bilateral power at the time.
Fantastic.
Yes, so that's some of my experiences.
Wow. Oh yeah, thank you so much. I think that really has set the tone for the conversation we'll have here today. So I think there's a recurring thread here. So I'm hearing technology-enabled work processes. Hearing technology work processes. I'm hearing people already context. So today we'll be looking at how we can use smart technology, right, to improve energy access. So that is one of our key objectives for this discussion session. But we all know, right? I won't call it the big elephant in the room because we talk about it all the time. The ATC&C loss, the loss within the sector is huge. I think it will be important to us to know, what role, ATC&C loss is actually playing in maybe militating against the energy access and how we can deal with that. We also want to know if there are some policies, regulations, some things that can help unlock investment. I heard Tom did a great job. He was able to raise £10 million for his company. Onyinye here, well, I hope it's not a competition set to outdo that, and Onji raised $60 million, So we want to hear all those ensure that the in between does work. So that will be setting the tone for the conversation. Now, to take a deep dive, I think I want to put Tom. I want to put you on the spot here, right? You mentioned you've been here for 18 months, or Stamaco has been here for 18 months. Pushing actively, right? Maybe you've been here a bit longer, I don't know, but pushing actively to get solutions that would help the power sector, especially from the distribution side. So, can we hear your experience, right? Is there any field work you have done that actually has confirmed to you that really you are on good track, at least in leading Stemaco to Nigeria, especially at this time? Over to you, Tom.
To answer your question, it's an emphatic yes, because we have been here since sort of the end of 2017, working on mini grid projects. I think the first one we did was up in Kano on the Sabangari market. So we know our way around. We're in sort of 82 sites across the country from a mini grid perspective, but we really saw an opportunity in the grid sector because of the level of losses, and we knew our technology could be helpful there. And so I said about 18 months ago, we set about entering the market in the grid market in Nigeria. And it's a slow process because these things take time. And I think the key learning we've had is that trying to take on the disco is a bit like trying to eat an elephant all in one go, right? So the way you eat an elephant is in pieces, right? So the way we're approaching it now is by piloting. So we've approached I think 7 of the 11 discos, and we're discussing pilots. We've got one starting next week with ADC. We've done one with Prof down in EEDC. We're doing one with Joss, and we're also looking at one in Ghana as well. It's the understanding of the problem and how our solution can help when we speak to the discos that gives us the confidence that we're on the right track. And then we follow that up with the results from the initial pilot, twinned with what we're seeing on the mini grids, to show actually this is an effective proposition for the market to move it forward. And the other way that the market is moving is franchising. And so it's the interest from the franchisors that are looking to take these, franchisees that are looking to take these areas on. They understand that they need a solution to improve their collections, and we can help with that. And so we're seeing traction with those companies as well. So it's been a really sort of positive experience. I'd also like to call out Nexteer, obviously, because they're our partners as well, and they have been the people who've helped get us into those initial conversations and helped understand the market better.
I'd like you to hold your thought there. I want to get back to really X-ray detailed findings from the pilot, if you don't mind, at some point during the conversation. But to you, Prof, so you're very much within the sector. You have been active, within that space, in the regulatory space. You actually are also very, very well into the technical space as well. So, from your point of view, it's probably a mute question, but I know by answering it, you probably may share more light. where is the place of smart technology, right, in loss improvement or performance improvement within the sector?
Thank you so much. It's like hitting the nail on the head. The smart technology today appears to be as it were that solution we were looking for. Before privatization, we did studies that showed that the the size of the DisCos appear to be large. So there are room for cherry picking and rooms for lack of accountability. Now, that has come to the fore. From the pilot we did, it's like practicalizing what we have been theorizing upon. You find out that, first of all, we mapped the area, both physically and software geomapping. And like there are meters, I would say commensurate meters with your consumption. We don't have to put 80,000 naira meter for somebody who can only vend 1,000 naira a month. It doesn't make sense. So what we did was to get some meters are actually as low as 16 amps because we took time to check what each person is consuming. And we did the computations, the analysis, the everything. So we can take that. So at the end of the day, what happened? Where EDC had an average collection of about 40%. After the 3 months of this, it got to 100%. Everybody pays by himself or herself, and with every happiness. For after all, the mini grid people collect their money anyway, and they, of course, charge more than the grid power. So, two things became obvious. One is reliability of this power. How many hours of this supply can you guarantee in a day? And then, of course, can you, as the person organizing it, measure how much power you've been given and for how long? So that your band is determined by you, not just because you are told, but you can see that actually your band is band D, is band C, is band E, is band anything. So the cost per unit is known. Then the other thing is the person who is the consumer. Can he control his consumption? That's the other level of accountability that technology has to have. If I have a means of controlling my consumption, then I can see that what I can pay for is this much. So you pay for it and you are fine. But if you are not even sure of what you consume, and somebody comes to say your charge is 5,000, and you believe that this thing shouldn't have been, by the time you do it 2 months, you want to protest, and
Right.
one of the protests is you won't pay.
Right.
You know.
So, Prof, just so that we can all, follow. So you already are giving us the insight into the pilot project, which you were a part of.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So maybe it's a convenient time, Paul. Tom, can you give us an overview of that project area, what exactly the conditions were, because we have heard from Prof clearly that there's some good stuff, and we want to drill down to those customers. I heard collection efficiency is 100%. That made my ear tingle, right? We already heard that people were able to manage consumption as well. So it seems as though if some of the issues the bigger schools may be struggling with could have been addressed. But to situate the conversation, can you give us a brief description of the project area so we actually can, enjoy more insight into this good stuff the Prof has just started to share with us?
Sure. So I feel like I'm speaking on Prof's behalf here because this is Odida in Agidi, which is actually Prof's hometown, and it's a village on the outskirts of Agidi, which has about 1,500 residents, about 300 homes and businesses. And before the pilot, each of the homeowners and businesses paid the same amount of power per month. So each 1,000 naira. So that's clearly not equitable, given that some people live in sort of single sort of room dwellings, others to sort of much bigger homes. So there was an inequitability. There was also about 3 to 4 hours of power a day on average, if that, but it was also unproven. And there was a sort of a lack of trust on both sides in terms of, are we going to get paid for this power that we're providing? And on the other side, am I being charged fairly for the power that I'm actually using? And so we went and did a sort of 2-stage project. So first 3 months, we went and Steamaco and Opaka invested in the pilot to actually ask EDC to increase the amount of power from 3 to 4 hours on average a day up to 11 hours of power a day. And we paid for that, but we also asked the residents to increase their sort of payment as well. And at the end of that 3 months, we then showed them what their energy usage was. And so they had a better understanding of how much they used in comparison with everybody else. And what we've seen at the end of that 3 months was that about 64% of people were overpaying for their energy in the previous regime.
Wow.
So the next 3 months, we then said, okay, well, now everybody switches on to prepaid billing via the meter. And when we're talking about our collection efficiency here, that is why we're getting 100% collection efficiency, because you are prepaying up front for your power. That's the best way of doing it. And so what we also managed to do was, because we did the customer management, was about 95% of the customers were happy to continue with the prepaid billing.
Fantastic. Wow, so this is really good stuff. I think we have heard similar stories, mainly from the mini-grid developers and the off-grid team, right? So I think this really is very, very good that we're now having similar type of experience in terms of service on the grid. We have a mini-grid expert here, Onyinye. Now you're hearing this, can you share with us also your experience from Onji, how has it been with the sites that you manage, and service quality, community interaction in general? How happy are the customers that you serve?
Thank you very much. So, generally, the service that we provide, right? So, with every service, it's built on trust, right? The customer needs to be able to trust that you deliver the service. And then on our side, as a service provider, we want to deliver service. So similar results like you have heard. We have less the technical losses, because there are technical losses. We have 100% collection efficiency. Our reliability ratio is also over 95%. So essentially, the customers that I serve in the hinterlands in Niger State have more power than I do. Because I don't even know what my band is on the DisCos, like you rightly mentioned. So sometimes I wonder, should I, the days I have a lot of work to do and I don't have power, should I just, go down and, stay in my customer place? Sorry guys, my hair is stopping my So yes, so essentially we have that level of supply. And I think If you look at the evolution of mini grids, so we've had first generation mini grids that didn't have a lot of digital and smart devices. We had second generation. Today we're operating in the third generation mini grids, and we're able to do our energy accounting properly because for every branch of the network, there's a smart device that we install, the meter that is able to aggregate the energy that goes into each branch, and then we see all the meters along that branch, and then we can you know, um, compare at the end of the day, are there energy losses? All these losses, can we attribute them to technical losses by the time we look at our devices and the data that we get? And then we're able to do that proper energy accounting. And also on the generating unit side, we have remote monitoring tools. My technical manager can sit in Abuja and shut down the system, and we can shut it down, we can turn it on, we can remotely control, monitor and control the systems, which really reduces a lot of operational cost, increases customer satisfaction. We have a call center that when we want to do any of these things, we can inform our customers to say, hey, we want to do maintenance at this time. We push out SMSs to say, maintenance is going to happen at this time. You're not going to have power at this time. The power is going to get back at this time. So we see that having that entire integrated look from the GU that has remote monitoring and to be able to do the energy accounting properly just enables things to be very smooth, and we don't have any issues. 100% collection efficiencies. Our only losses are technical losses. We're able to account for our energy, and we're able to really profile. And that's another thing, because our focus is generally on productive use. Because we can get the productive use data, we can profile it, we know how to help our customers. We even understand the seasonality. We understand that during the rainy season, certain customers that mail may not be able to mail. And that's all possible because of this granular kind of data that we collect. And of course, we use it to then model other systems that we build and talk to our investors to show that there's finance here, there's financing opportunities here.
Great stuff. Right. So we've heard from the pilot project, which is on grid, and we've also heard off grid. Prof, the question now is back to you. How can we make this connection? I really want to have that experience Tom has described, or maybe the one Onye is describing. How can we get this smart technology, this improved performance to the grid business? If by grid business I mean the disco. Or what do you think is stopping it? So let me be fairer or kinder. What are the challenges you see?
The challenges are many, but they are not insurmountable.
Great.
One is the fact that it's funded. Let's start from that. Because we are talking of these meters, and of course, you have an idea of how much they cost. And there's this level of cooperation that is needed from the regulatory agencies. That type of cooperation is that there should be some liberalization on the use of certain equipment. Like I said before, to reduce the funding, you don't go to a village where people are spending 1,000 naira a month and you put a 80,000. For how long will it take the person to pay? But ordinarily, there are current limiters of 30,000 when the exchange rate was even less. It was about 15,000, 10,000. So you could install those ones. And that provides enough leverage for the consumer to control his consumption. And there's the trust, whether it is mini or on grid, that look, what I am paying is what I am consuming. In our own case, for instance, like the mini grid lady talked about, we had these clusters, of there is the bulk meter that measures, it's like a check meter to the DT meter. That's the meter by the distribution, the DisCos. So those two, in our own case, give the same value. So what the DisCos gives is exactly what we see comes into the network. But then there's the issue of technical losses. Because if you have the aggregate of the consumption and compare it with the actual power that comes in, based on the bulk meter reading, there's about 20%, 22% difference. And that's a lot. So we went into finding out what exactly is the problem. To avoid issues, the power is paid for based on what comes into the bulk meter. So that's why for the DisCos, the collection efficiency is 100%. And because of accountability, proper accountability, the customer does not really feel that pain of paying a little bit extra than what that's like the customer is paying for the technical losses. But it's not feeling it because there's accountability of the actual band. So that takes care of it somehow. So the bulk challenge I can see, to avoid talking too much, is that of one, the regulatory agencies must come to the reality of who the customers really are and class them to what they want. And therefore, rely on people like us to advise on the type of equipment to be used. Then, funding. And, of course, accountability is almost guaranteed when this is happening.
Right. Well, Prof, thank you very much for that. Expose, I would say. I think I can almost guarantee, Prof, you will get very penetrating questions. We'll soon get to when we'll open this up to the audience. But I think your points are well noted. But you started off with funding, so I think we need to drill down a bit, right? And Onye, I'll push this back to you as well. Given your experience with Onji and how you're about to raise funding, are there some policies? Are there some regulations or practices that you think, if we thought about them differently, can help channel more funding towards the sector? I mean, how smooth the ride was it for Angie when you raised 60 million US?
Okay, thank you very much. Like with every funding conversation, it's never easy. It was a conversation that I think we had for close to 18 months before we got to sign the contracts that we signed. But speaking specifically about policy in Nigeria, I must give kudos to NEC for the MAP policy, the meter asset provider that we had, and even the updates with the mass metering, the NMPP for the meters, right? Carving out that map out of the typical DisCos regulatory asset base, allowed for other players like Stimaco to come into the market. But I believe those policies must then be strengthened, all right, to make sure that the purpose for which it was started can be accomplished. I also think that the sub-franchising policy or documentation that is currently being reviewed, if more and more conversations can happen around there, because this will then allow for a further disintegration of the network. The reason why we can do the things we do on the mini-grid space is that we know we have a cluster. We can focus on it. We can guarantee the reliability. And there are many service providers in the market today that if we continue to carve out the networks, whatever model that works, full franchising, just collection, operations and maintenance and collections, whatever model that seems appropriate for whichever location. Once we can strengthen that conversation, I know it's not yet a regulatory document, right? But once we can strengthen it, then more private finance can come into those spaces. The same way private finance for mini grids will go to one village, right? And it will electrify that village. If we sub-franchise around the DisCos, finance can come into those particular locations. And so you use those locations as use cases. You're not raising fund for the entire DisCo. You don't want to fund the entire DisCo. You want to fund one cluster, just like a mini grid. And then the money comes in, it solves the problem there. We guarantee reliability, liquidity in the sector is improved, collection efficiency is improved, ATC&C losses are reduced, and then you do it again, and then you do it again, and you do it again. I also think on the technical side, maybe around the work that NEMSA is doing, that if we can also upgrade that NEMSA regulation to ensure that whatever new network is being built is built to standards, and it's also built with smart technologies. So today, you can still radiate a new feeder without the meter. But imagine if we said things like, for every expansion that has to happen, it must meet certain digitization standards. So there must be fault locators, for example, on the lines, so that operation and maintenance is easy. Everybody must be metered. So that data collection is easy and all of that. And the beautiful thing about meters is that it gives you data. And that data is critical for decision making, and it's critical for fundraising. You can't raise funds without proving, that with the data that you get from the network, that it's possible to meet whatever numbers you put on your financial models.
Great,
So,
great.
yes,
Thank you so much, Onye. Tom, so may I ask if you could assist to enumerate from your point of view what you think the wider benefit can be, for the DisCo or the customer if more and more locations actually, get on this type of a service improvement and reliability condition from Stamaco. But while you're thinking about that, I think something is occurred to me just now. The customers within the pilot location at Odida moved from 3 to 4 hours a day on average to 11 hours daily, right? And then, of course, that's a better place to be. Overall, when they migrated to prepayment system, I'm curious to know, did overall, first off, you had mentioned energy went down, but also what happened to collection in that regard? What I'm trying to tease out here is the fact that they now have control, right? And I think maybe and then Onyinye may also mention, maybe they really have been happy with the 3 to 4 hours, right? And 11 hours now seem a sort of luxury in the immediate term. Of course, maybe things can happen much later. I need to situate this because the clamor now is for improvement in service, measured by hours of supply primarily, right? But you can tell us how that connects with ability to pay.
Yeah.
Right.
So I think it was overall, the power usage went up by something like 90% across the entire site. So when more power was delivered, more power was used.
Right.
And what we also found is that what people did instead of using their generators, they switched grid power.
Great.
So overall, people really benefited. And there's a member of the sort of Odida community here tonight, and they welcomed us with really open arms when we went down there. And they listed off some of the benefits that came about from this increased power, things like increased security at night from streetlights, improved quality of life, improved. So all these things added together to give a really beneficial impact to the community. And there's also much more reliability. So there was a lady who owned a hair salon who was able to run that longer, charge better services because she had more affordable power. And she then said she was able to send her kid to school because she earned additional funds. So these are the holistic benefits to the community. Looking at the DisCos side, what we haven't quite touched on yet is that the improved because we used prepaid smart meters, but that only works if you have a way of seeing the usage. So we've used our artificial intelligence and AI models to run the data, which Nyomi was talking about, to take the meter usage, to take the payment usage, to understand where there's anomalies, and where those anomalies occurred. Force team from Alpaca with the apps we've developed to go and identify and investigate those occurrences. And we managed to detect 6 real-world theft events. So people had bypassed meters
in just 3 months.
It's in a matter of days. And the difference is, like, there's a DisCo that shall remain unnamed that installed 111,000 smart meters as part of phase 0, and within 6 months, 34,000 of them were bypassed because top, which is helping to see the usage and identify these losses. So whilst we're improving the collection efficiency, it's the billing efficiency that's the other side, the technical and commercial loss together. So we're helping use the AI to reduce those commercial losses significantly. And it also creates that feedback loop to say, look, you can't get away with stealing power, because we will come and our system will find you. And then it's the technical loss analysis to do that full energy accounting piece. So going back to the original question, how does this benefit the entire DisCo community? It enables the reduction in ATC&C losses, which increases the amount of revenue into the sector, which then enables investment and improvement in the network, which increases the amount of power and delivery. So it's a win-win-win.
Fantastic. So I think our time will not allow us to, to go into more detail of that. The question I would have on my mind would be, so who's going to pay for the investment, right? How does the money get back? So the DisCo gets paid in full. You are paying for that energy. And from all you've said, I think you still sold at the regulated tariffs, isn't it? Right. So, I'm sure. In fact, since I've mentioned it, what are your thoughts around that? How will Stemaco get paid? Or by all means, Prof, is this a CSR from you to Adidi community?
Well, not CSR. So for now, some level of that, but not CSR in terms of the consumption, but there are at least some stuff that small money cannot pay for.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
but at least to the extent of the fellow who does charging of the ten and all that, they get paid. What I'm trying to say, the next thing also is that when it becomes really a franchise, that it becomes commercial business.
Right.
Then EDC or whichever DisCo may have to give in certain conditions. Remember that ATC&C, it's a computation that is given as liberty. You don't pay for certain percentage of the power you've been given.
Yeah.
So when it becomes a business, that level of call it giving it by the system to the people who are now controlling this and the technology that is involved will now controlling this and the technology that is involved will now get their compensation from that, because like I said, this power is supplied to the DT, and what is supplied to the DT is paid for. That's like the DisCo is taking more than they should, because by law there's a percentage of loss that's expected, and this is coming from TCN directly to that point.
Right. So, Prof, if I get you correctly, what you're saying is the payment will come from the margin by which the pilot area outperforms their regulated loss level, right? So if maybe your MITO loss, for example, is 20%, and you're operating at maybe 15%, at least that gives you an extra revenue, which you may possibly share with your technology providers and all. But I think that's really fantastic stuff. Let's not put too much of your proprietary information out there. I think the what we have got is that a system has worked. You have very good visibility over this, very much to the envy, I'm sure, of also the mini grid developers who really have done this on the grid. Let us open up the session now to take questions from the room. So we actually can have good reactions. Yes, I saw that hand first, the hand behind. So if you would, and please, I know we also are expecting questions from the online audience. So please, one question, please, straight to the point. If you can, I would appreciate it. And let's keep it to one question. Yes, go ahead.
It's sad you're asking me to ask just one question.
Please, in fairness and equity.
I really wanted to talk to some of the things that have been said here because I currently work in the mini grid space, but I have had extensive years in the DisCos, and I've had so much engagement with
the question
with Prof. No, I really want to point out something with the regulator because Prof now is sitting here and he's speaking to things which we spoke about when we were in the DisCos, most especially when it comes to allowing some derogations on some of the issues. I heard them talking about energy instead of getting standard meters. When we had the issue of a meter costing over 40,000 naira for a customer, and we said, couldn't we have cheaper meters? NEMSA and NEC said, no, you must follow the standard.
Yeah.
So I'm
we are in alignment now. That's progress, right?
No, we are not in alignment because Prof is no longer in NEC. So he's speaking outside NEC now when he was in NEC. So it's funny. But my question really...
I suspected, Prof, you will get those kind of comments. But I think your point is well noted. It's very much in alignment. If there's not a main question...
No, but I have a question. My
let's
question now is, how are they engaging with the regulator to get some of these issues?
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, so we'll take, I think, a set of 3 questions, and then we answer them. Yeah, the other hand in front, from the gentleman in glasses.
Yeah, thank you very much, moderator. Nice to be back after 3 years. My name is John Kadiri. I used to work for Shell, commercial manager, gas and power. Now I'm independent consultant on energy. Prof, I will take it from where you stop to comment that a whole lot of revenue is lost at the moment. Between November 2020 and September 2022, when there was MITO adjustments, 840 billion was invoiced and only about 600 million was collected. 240 million is sitting out there, so that if there is proper metering, collection efficiency, there is a whole lot of money to be made. In this room, discussions were on national grids, but listening today, we are talking of mini grids, and collection within the space of mini grid and franchising, which means next year is working and discussions in this room are making progress within the country. The point I like to make in terms of collection is that bulk money that is out there, which I have quoted, is based on statistics already existing in NEC. It's from NEC website, which means all the banding A to E, collection performance at DisCos level, all that information is there. If the industry can be broadened, this money that is lost, if we can make it available to entrepreneur to develop and meter the system, collection losses can be improved instead of this balance sheet engineering we do with DisCos almost every now and then.
Right. So
Draw a line. Progress is being made. Information is there. Use of technology deployed to the appropriate places can help solve the problem as it's already being done
right.
with the pilots in existence. Thank you.
So that's more of a recommendation, not a particular question. Yes. Right. The lady, and then we come to the front.
Okay, good evening all. My name is Nerit Mwagutodok. I'm a lawyer and I'm interested in energy, so I specialize in energy law. So my question, or rather contribution, would be, okay, let me start with the question first. I appreciate the advancement of smartness in the energy sector. Well, I want to ask if you've considered in putting incentive in the tariff for usage of electricity in off-peak hours and peak and off-peak hours. I don't know if that's something you consider when you're introducing smartness in the electricity grid and all that.
Right. Thank you very much. So let's take the question here, madam. The question from him, and then we'll quickly answer that. We'll make 3, and then we'll carry on with the rounds of questioning.
Yeah, good evening. My name is Igwebiki Joma. I'm the Nigeria country representative for the World Council for Renewable Energy. The question is for Prof. The Nigeria electricity supply industry is really, not very, that's, if we're able to get the regulatory issues sorted, then, some of the challenges with the mini grid and all of that will be. You made a statement with regards to the dealing with the ATC&C issues, right? So my question is this: do you think, and I'm happy you worked in NEC, do you think that the privatization was hasty? If we would have had better outcomes, if we had phased privatization, privatize the DisCo, the distribution first, deal with these issues, and then move on to the GENCOs, right? Because if you look at the installed capacity and the capacity delivered to homes and offices, and you see the losses there, I think that's what the Kadiri, Engineer Kadiri alluded to. Okay. You see that we are losing a whole lot of money.
Right.
So that's my specific question.
Thank you very much. Thank you. So I think, Prof, I think 2 questions are clearly directed at you. I would want maybe Tom to attempt the third one. So, Prof, the first question is, what actually are the active steps, if you're involved in any, to have NERC and NEMSA agree to, in your words, liberalization of maybe choice of meters so that they can be more matched with, the customer requirement rather than a 1 cap fit all or 2 caps fit all that we currently have. And this final question is, was the privatization hasty? So those 2 questions for you, Prof.
Well, let me start from the first. And the former chairman, you said I'm now talking out of. It's not. My position has always been my position. It's now, the gentleman. It has never changed. Because before I came to NEC, I saw it. I have a lab, that does high voltage testing, including meter calibration and all that. So I know that you need meters to solve specific problems. The guy who's going to install a meter is not a market woman. So I don't see why anybody is afraid. It has always been my position. Why in NEC? But I have only 1 vote. That is the thing. And it's even so difficult when you are in. It has always been my position that, look, meters must be graded. it took me time to even get the IoT technology approved. Even when I left, we're still going topsy-turvy because of maybe interest or something. But because when I saw the IoT thing and saw the price difference alone, it was quite good to imbibe it. I said, look, let's take this. And before I left, I managed to get the thing approved. And now asked the metering code review panel to package it and bring it to NEC for final approval. So what I would suggest is that even as we are here, we could pick up some interesting theme and put together and present it. I would think that leaving only NEC and NEMSA to take decision may not work. Maybe part of the problem is that the only other person talking is a regulated entity. So when your regulator calls you to talk, there's a way you choose your words. But if we have a private team, and I don't mind being part of it if you want me to, and call NEMSA, go talk to them, go to NEC, talk to them, and bring the two together, the engineering team from NEC and the engineering team from NEMSA, and we can reach out something. I even was told that the newest metering code that it was given to NEMSA. I don't know why, for any reason. Right. But all I'm saying is even the right time to talk about it.
I think, Prof, you have been vindicated. So it's you have always maintained this position, and you like to advance this, right? So thank you. I think that should be satisfactory. Yeah. We have an online participant who.
Yeah, the second question.
Yes, so I just wanted to mention that we have an online participant that would like to take his comment. So Tom, if you don't mind, after Prof finishes the second question, we'll take the online participant, then we'll come back to you. Right. Oh, okay. Okay, great. Good.
I align with you. Indeed, I put together a paper and went to Nigeria and presented this idea of phase privatization, before eventually he left. And in an argument somewhere in Lagos Business School, then somebody who participated in privatization like me said, look, that the fear was that phasing it might result in the privatization not taking place at all. That you take only, say, the distribution. Another government comes in. There's a possibility of either now joining a generation or relinquishing distribution that has been privatized. So that they believed it was better to do the two at the same time. So that was really the thing. But I had the same thinking like you, that it's better it is phased, so that we see. I even didn't want all the DisCos privatized. I suggested that the very viable ones be privatized first. That was the Indian model. That's Lagos, Abuja. That have been Lagos, that's Eko and the Keja. That if that is done, that will now provide the focus. I mean the base. That's where you will have collected data to really know what problems you need to face if you are going to go to the other ones. Remember, for a long time, Ibadan was short paying by 5 billion every month. IBEDC, every month they will not be able to pay 5 billion. So you keep wondering that type of business, that so anyway.
Yeah, Right. So thank you so much, Prof. Okay, can we have the online participants? So this is Patrick Ume from Geometric. Um, yes.
My question.
Hello, Patrick. If you're there, we are with you now.
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Sorry. Oh, he's speaking already.
Can you hear me?
Okay. Can the IT team, can you give me a nudge when technology helps us out? To save time, I wanted to give you the two-part tariff, Tom. So what do you think? I think the lawyer, now, I think you've transited to become an energy expert because this is a very, very valid question you've posed here. So she's saying, what do you think of a time of use tariff, maybe a two-part tariff, peak and off-peak? Given your experience in the Nigerian market, could this be desirable?
Yeah, I think with so our experience in mini grids today, we utilize time of use policies, which are the business rules set by the mini grid operators that we're working with across Africa. And when you're working in a mini grid, as Onyenya knows, you can be a little bit more flexible in what you do because they're smaller, unregulated in some cases. And so you can charge based on time of use. So when you don't want your mini grid to be overused at a particular time during the day, you want to prioritize loads, you can incentivize people to use power at different times of the day. So you can increase the sort of tariff rate at particular times. The important thing to note is you can't do this if you don't have smart metering and a system that sits on top of the smart metering to do it. So it's the smart metering and the software that sits on top of it that Steamaco has, for example, that enables you to do this. But the UK last week introduced this policy whereby people were charged less for using power at a different time of the day to enable the usage. So it's a very apt question. It shows that a smart grid can do this. Technology is absolutely 100% there. It can be used to help balance the grid at peak times. The key, though, is that it's NERC as the gatekeeper here, because without them accepting this as a way to go forward, it's not going to happen, because at the moment your tariff is based on your band.
Yeah.
And so there would need to be a lot of movement in the policies. But as a lawyer, I'm sure you'd be very well placed to lobby for that. So,
Right.
yeah, excellent question, by the way.
Yeah, thanks so much. Are we online now? Not yet. So let's get the questions going. I think there's good consensus that we're building here. Right. So I wouldn't know the order in which the hands came up, but I've made eye contact with the gentleman next to you. So let's have let's have his question. Please, one question straight to the point, if you please. We would appreciate that. Okay. I think this is a very heavy question we will get.
I think I should be permitted to contribute.
Yes, by all means,
right.
sir.
Yeah, thank you very much. My name is Engineer Peter Eweso. I've participated in the power industry for a long time, and I think I was delighted when I was asked to come and listen to what was being said. But the first thing that crossed my mind is to start by saying that I've seen the way the discussion has gone, and I can just probably harp on what the lady said, which has to do with technology. To my mind, she made a comment towards the end of her presentation that we need to, as much as possible, look at our networks and look at a stage whereby we are ensure that they are smart ready. I think I get you right. So what I want to say here is that technology is quite very good, very efficient, and reliable for you to actually recover your investment. But the challenge there is that, honestly, when I look at the level of technical losses today in our network, apart from the mini grid, off grid that are coming, is alarming.
We are talking about existing age or aging network. But the new one they are building, I'm sorry to say, they are not better either. That you have that the technical losses will continue to grow from what we are seeing. Prof, not just because he was a commissioner in NEC, he's a power engineer. And actually, we've had a series of discussions, even looking how to get the proper materials to be used in the industry. I want to say, Madam, you are right. If you are doing a new project today and you are buying the kind of material that the DisCos are using, we will never actually reduce any technical loss, even in the heart of the main cities, in the sense that you will buy a conductor which actually is not the right type of conductor. When you are stringing, you create several kings. When I mean by kings, those that winds, you have losses created. We are installing a substation which is going to be metered. And that particular substation, you find that the connections from copper to aluminum, they are done directly. They are not done by the standard practice of using bimetal line tap. It is permanent creation of a place where you have gap and you have losses are going. Then you find that in most cases, your feeder pillars, no sooner that you commission them, they go into that state where you are using direct copper wire or nails to make sure that they stay on. So that is an issue. So what I want to actually suggest to next part is that, please, you need to actually keep, as what somebody said is quite right, some of the discussion here has actually assisted in getting certain things to be achieved in the industry. We really need to discuss with ourselves, to be fair, to be sincere, to be disciplined in power, in standard power network construction. And until that is done, no matter what technology you are bringing, apart from the metering, because from all the discussion I've seen or in the past while I was actually seeing services, that we are emphasizing mainly on metering, bring technology. And you find out that it is only when power flow through my meter that you can actually recover any revenue. But if the power is not flowing through that meter for one reason or the other, because the network is down and out, then you're not going to actually get any investment back, which actually is why the DisCos are shouting, look, we cannot recover investment. But I do not agree totally with them, because to a larger extent, most of the issues and challenges are inherent, they are within, and they are not looking at them.
Thank you so much, Engineer Wessel. So please, is there a question in there? Just for background, Engineer Wessel was the former head of NEMSA, so you would understand from the position he's talking. So thank you. I think this is a very valid point. Is there a question you want to pose to us directly?
What I want to actually ask my friend is,
yes,
somebody talk about meters, and I think I got it clearly. We are saying we could have meters that are within the reach of different classes of customers. But I want to say to Prof, if the metering code do not specify that, it will be an Herculean tax for that to be achieved. Because I was on this, now that they've actually said it, I was on the seat, and I know there were so many times we have looked at different type of meters, and we really cannot do otherwise in NEMSA, because we are by the act of NEMSA to ensure the enforcement of the regulations and standards that NEC has set. By paper, they cannot actually start changing on it. So if there is no clause that allows that, it's a problem. Second one, if you find out that if you look at the rate at which people steal power, people filtering with meters, if you do not have high level of smart meters, then definitely it's going to be a challenge. If you say somebody in Abuja, for example, is going to give some people simple meters because of cost, definitely that meter is going to be compromised. And that means the DisCos is not going to be able to actually recover their investment. So
thank you very much, Engineer Wessel. I think your 2 points are very clear. We will address them when we aggregate all the questions. The metering code is a big factor in terms of whether NEMSA can approve a variation to the type of meters, and then it's at the network smart meter ready. Thank you very much, Engineer Wesso. We really, really appreciate that. Yes, please, the gentleman in black. Yeah. Yes. Yes, yes, please.
Yeah, good evening. My name is Ahmad Sanusi. I used to work in Kano Disco, even though I just recently left with Genko. So my concern is, what are the experiences of these losses? Because what we have seen for discos is there are some areas that you find it very difficult to adopt smart meters. Even the availability of network in some areas is very difficult. And we have experiences where we installed prepaid meters, and the losses we recorded were even higher compared to the period when these meters were not deployed, because of the high level of bypasses and energy theft. So we want to have that experience, because we felt in informal discussions, we've heard that Nigeria is one of the few developing countries that have moved so fast with smart meters, and is not really helping the discourse. So I want to have that kind of experience shared. Thank you.
Right. Thank you very much, Sanusi, a former colleague as well. Good to see you. Right. Okay. Yeah. And then we now take question from gentleman at the back. Thank you.
Good evening. The name is Chinedu Onyebula. The question I had was to Stimaco. What exactly, I'm not sure the question was answered properly. What exactly is your profit or revenue expectation, given that if I understand it correctly, the revenue will be shared from the mismatch from the savings. Aren't those savings still part of the losses that needs to be recovered? And under the regulation, is it legal for you to take from that to compensate somebody else? Do you have to submit to NEC as a franchise, as a sub-franchisee, in order to qualify to have this model practice?
Right. Okay. Great. I think we have 3 questions. Let's get them back. Now we really are at crunch time. We will take just 3 more questions after we respond to this, and then we'll take the questions online, please. Yes. So yes, Prof. Just for memory sake, the first question is the networks, the way they are being constructed with the high losses, standards not being met, are they smart meter ready, right? And the second one is, does the metering code is a constraint, right, towards advancing the conversation around having that liberalization of the metering type or specification for customers. Please, how do you respond?
Well, I would recognize the time limitations. I would just say very little. Yeah, smart metering ready. I would say yes, because of our practical experience.
Okay.
You see, I will tell you something. These technical losses is such that most part of it is caused by the nature of the wiring. You have a house, I have one near your home. I finish my building, I just take power from your house and just put it there. So most of these things we have done like that. But when we started, we had to clean the network. In the model that we are trying to put together, we talked about cleaning the network. There's a limit, there's something you have to do to make the network work. So I would say smart metering ready.
Okay,
great. Then the second one is about the metering code.
Yes.
You see, the metering code, yes, no wonder we made the suggestion we made that we talk to NEMSA and talk to NEC. We talk to NEMSA about implementation. We talk to NEC about liberalization of the metering code that involved IoT meters was more or less my baby before I left. And certain languages are there to give room for NEMSA more or less to decide that yes, if what we are considering is this. Yeah, this can go. You know? So, unless it changed, but if we didn't, there was that liberalization, really.
Great. Okay, thank you very much. So, yeah, the question from Sanusi is yeah, the question from Sanusi is are there experiences, right, in outside of Nigeria where they did not migrate to prepaid metering technology and yet improve losses? Maybe Tom, we want to ask you that question. Your multi jurisdiction. I can tell just by looking at you, and maybe Onyinye may also weigh in. What is your experience?
So from our perspective, we've not done anything without smart meters. So,
Right, okay.
So I'm not sure we would be very well placed to answer that. We
Okay.
can only talk about the positives of it. We can certainly look to see the downsides of not using them, and not using the smart functionality as opposed to smart ready and not have them communicating. That's not
Right.
smart,
Right.
frankly.
Can I
I think Onyen, you might be better.
Yeah,
placed.
can I put you on the spot, right? In the UK, are all the meters prepaid meters?
No.
Right. So
yeah. So I mean, maybe I can talk to that. Yeah.
can
So,
you speak to that? Yes.
Yeah. So in the to steal, such as people growing marijuana and cannabis farms. So they have technologies to suit these, but the bigger problem, and it's one of the key reasons, is because there's legal recourse. So if you don't pay your bill, you will get switched off, and bailiffs will come around to your house and take your possessions.
Right.
So it's a different model to here.
Right. Yeah. Thanks so much, Tom. So I think Sanusi, there's some other environmental factors outside of the power sector that probably enables the credit meter to succeed in other jurisdictions. Yeah. Okay. Great. I think the question is Chinedu is not on stage, but his question was. So he was a bit concerned that are there anything within the pilot area that could have contravened, extant regulations from NERC in terms of how you can, the tariff, put the whether you need whether it's okay to charge the technical loss to the customer by distribution and all that. But let me hear your feedback on this. I have a thought on that as well, but please let's hear your feedback.
Yeah, certainly. So, I mean, I think that the question was directly, what's our business model? So where do we get to? So we are a tech provider to utilities. So we provide a service, and that service is replacing an existing service, which is the people going out collecting cash, the feeder managers going out collecting cash, reading meters, managing their customers. Plus, also, we provide the data visibility. So we're providing infrastructure as a service because we're replacing the servers, the technology that you need. Plus, we're adding additional value. So we're getting paid by the DisCo to help them do that service. We're not getting paid out of the tariff per se. So the DisCo receives some money, they have to pay their suppliers. That's how we're getting paid. In terms of the franchisees model, I mean, in Okpaka, it was a full investment from Steamaco and Okpaka, so we weren't getting paid for this. So no issues from that side. But how the franchisees set up their model, I believe, is between the DisCos and their sort of arrangements, their contracts, which I would hope is in line with NERC and them's requirements.
Right, great. Okay, thanks so much. Let's dispense with some online questions. So Tom, this question is from Abdul Halim. He's a senior analyst at Power Renewables at Tetra Core Energy Limited. So Tom, he's saying that you spoke about customers prepaying for power, right, in the second phase of your pilot program. How were you able to ensure you had power for them for the period they paid for? So I think it's weaving around, you didn't have additional generation, so how are you able to make credible promise to the customers, and how are you able to get power for them?
So there's no promise for power, right, in a place where you're provided power when the DisCo is able to provide it to the network. So going back to the UK, people use power when they want to. So they manage their own usage. Whereas here, for example, it's when it's available. So we don't promise availability. What we promise is credit. So when the power is available and you want to use it, your credit will reduce. So what we promise is the ability that you will be charged fairly for the units of power that you use as and when you use them, as and when they're available.
Great, thanks. Onyinye, this question is for you. What is the percentage of technical losses in your mini grid?
Okay, on the average, we keep it within single digits.
Single digit, all right. So that's anything from 9 to something, right?
Say that again.
And what's that coming from?
Technical losses from the aluminum conductor that we use to wire the lines, from the joints that we have from the conductor to the meters, just standard single digit technical losses. Yes.
Great, okay. So we have another question here. Do you need smart meters at the customer level, or could a level of improvement be achieved by using smart meter technology at the distribution transformer level and using prepaid at the customer level? DT metering would assist with localizing losses to a specific area. It may be a less cost solution, maybe least cost solution than smart meter at each customer. So Tom, maybe this is for you. I think the poser here is wondering, can there be a solution that does not need to get smart to the last mile, right? So you're smart at the DT and then something less expensive at the customer end.
So it's about bang for your buck. Right? So if you want to save a little bit less money, but spend a little bit less money, then DT metering will help you identify technical losses between, say, the DT or some money is. And that's where you get the best return. What we suggest is you do, as Onyenya is saying, is you do full smart metering throughout the entire network, because then you can understand where the losses are. You can then put the resources to tackle the technical losses, commercial losses, collection losses as needed. But what I think the key with this is that when you know that information, you can raise the investment to resolve those losses. And with that credible data, you can put that investment case forward and get paid over the lifetime of the returns that come back to the investor. So it pays off to do it.
Right. So it's cost benefit. And essentially what you want. Okay, Onyinye, I think Onyinye, you're quite popular online. So this question is for you. How do mini grid ensure collection is at 100% efficiency in the rural sector with its own challenges? That's from David E.
Okay. Smart meters, prepaid smart meters. So we get paid even before the customer consumes 1 kilowatt of energy. There's money with us. And then, of course, like I explained earlier, we do all the energy accounting, and with the branch meters we have, if there are losses, we're able to narrow down that losses, know where it is, have conversations, and figure out what the problem is. So today, every part of the network is smart. The customers, simply pay via USSD code on their phone, and then they get their meters accredited, and then they turn on their lights and they have power.
Great. Okay, thank you so much. So I think we can take the final 3 questions. Maybe I shouldn't have said we have 3 more questions, because then it will be sort of like a lottery now. Okay, I've made eye contact again with the gentleman in glasses. Please, let's have him. And who will be the final 2 volunteers? Oh, yes, sorry. We'll have the gentleman behind, and we'll have you. Yeah. Oh, we have. Okay, I'll make a derogation since we're in that mood tonight. Okay, please go ahead.
Thank you. My name is Mustafa Mewada. I'm from TCN. I want to ask the Odida model, what's the future? What are you looking in the future? Are you trying to, or will you take into consideration taking it to the eligible customer level, or probably enter into bilateral agreement with one of the GEMCOs? Instead of the 11-hour, probably go 24/7. That's my question.
Okay, thank you. Yes, so yes, please.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Samson Euze. I work with the AEDC. My question goes to Onyinye. I agree with you. I agree with the idea of further disintegration of the network and also deploying location-specific models. But my question is on sustainability. What's your take? How sustainable will it be? And also looking at the fact that the regulator is actually on a learning path when you compare it with the DisCos that have already been existing and they're trying to learn from them. So it has been kind of discordance in regulation and then more of generalized model rather than location-specific models.
Yeah, no. So, did you get the question?
Yes, I did.
Oh, great. Okay. And then, yes, please.
Thank you. I think I'll suggest that because it's looking to me like we are talking to ourselves, right? There are no decision makers in the industry, no approving authorities, in the Ministry of Power high up there, in NEC, sitting here. So sometimes, I don't know, but again, we can also consider what Prof has suggested in terms of forming a pressure group or doing some kind of advocacy with respect to what we've discussed here. So maybe I'll suggest next year they're doing a great job. Next time, let's have people who can really speak for these the regulators and the
Right.
ministries.
Right. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. Please let's hear from him. I think the decision makers are all part of this program. They may not be here physically. It's streaming online, and I think next year, kudos to them. I think on this seat we have had everybody who's who in the power sector. So I think maybe some things are happening in that space.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank
please,
you very
sir.
much. My name is Bato Kafo. Well, like you can see, I'm a retiree. Yeah. So, but the point I want to make here is that we are looking at these issues as though they're already cast in gold. They cannot be shifted. They cannot be changed. Here we are. I was chairman of my village. This Odida, that is in this that's the focal point we are talking about. I was chairman. The way we arrived at what we used to pay, for electricity in my village, was that we did a study, how many households are in this village, and we got about 350 or thereabout, and what the EEDC used to charge us per month was about 250. And we said, if we could have 1,000 naira per household, that would give us 350. So why should we pay more than that? So we brought it down to 1,000 naira per household. And at the end of the month, we give 250 to EECD and keep the rest. You see a lot of losses. This is not accountability. It's just like a primitive voodoo kind of thing. But it worked. So when this pilot came, the people now saw that now there's greater accountability. They are happier. They are more technically enlivened. They become happier that, look, our status is coming up. Unlike the primitive thing we used to do before, guesswork, and we just say we pay. Those days, young men will go around to the households and force them to pay. There was fight. Today, there's no fight. All you do is, it is finished. You call them and they discharge, and you are on again. So all I'm trying to say is that whatever we are suggesting is not falling on sand. We shall start somewhere. Now, when we have challenges, especially administrative challenges, that's why we talk about reforms. Reforms having to be persistent reforms. It never ends. When you start, take a first step, you meet challenges, reforms take place. Then the second step, There's no step that doesn't bring about challenges. So what he suggested initially, the prof, that we have a kind of a group here that can put up something that will meet with NEMSA, meet with NEC, and that is the beginning. We start working. Remember that our politics is the next thing. Every policy has its own politics. You have to play the politics before the politics becomes effective. So let me stop there, but let us not believe that everything is cast in gold. It's not. It is written in ink or pencil. We can delete it and write another word.
Thank you.
Yeah, let us think like that. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. You see, anytime we discuss the power sector issues, we can keep going on, but we just need to draw the curtain at some point. I would like to mention the panelists are available to network with after the session, so you can still get your questions out. But let us summarize, at least let's boil down, the common landing that I think we actually have got from today. I think sorry. Oh, apologies. Yeah, I got the questions and we're not answering them. Right. So sorry about that. So the first question here is where are we going with the Adidi model? Is the village Adidi or Odidi?
Odida.
Odita.
Odida.
Okay, Odida.
Then the town is Ogidi.
Okay, Odida village with Ogidi people. Great. So with the Odida model, the question is, what's the future? Would this transit to an eligible customer type arrangement, or would it remain franchise within the franchise model?
See, there are about 4 models we have put together that they could go. The easiest one is a franchising model, which has been approved by NEC, that DisCos could go on franchise. In some DisCos, you have close to 10,000 details. And the particular case of Southeast is the replica of almost the same type of village settings. That what happened there, even if the small difference appears to be small, by the time you do it, or because part of why money is not being collected is this idea of bypassing. And I will tell you that in most cases, bypassing is just the wrong articulation of network. We saw it. Somebody that spent 6,000 last month, just because he complains and you come to his house and adjust the, so you can imagine how much of that goes on. So that is one. There are other models of those who have estates, those who have off-grid, those who have all manner of things. But to quickly add to what somebody asked, you see, the smart meter at the last end is very important, because that's the only way you can see, using the AI, the artificial intelligence, you could see cases of bypasses and be focused in trying to investigate. In some DisCos, the problem they have, it's not as if they have not seen that here and here could be possible bypass, but there are so many that you can't have the staff to do that. Anyway.
Thank you very much, Prof. I think the second question goes to you. Yes.
Thank you very much. So I think for me, I'd like to look at it from the problem perspective, right? So according to the World Bank today, 92 million Nigerians are unelectrified. On the one hand. On the second hand, the 12 million customers on the grid don't have reliable supply. So we don't have supply for up to half of our population. The people on the grid It's not reliable. If you compared band E data, right, from the NEC analysis, you will see that the collection efficiency for band E reduced between 2021 and 2022. So more customers are refusing to pay for power, right? So the question is, how do we solve the problem? What is the solution to the problem? Let's also remember that if we go back to the policy, right, the Nigerian electricity market is actually supposed to enter a full competitive stage, right? We're in the transitional stage, the medium stage, GENCOs are supposed to be liberalized, and finally we get to retail competition, right? So even the regulation kind of articulates that we will get there. Your question as to, are we there yet? Maybe not, but that's why we keep having these conversations. So the disco wins. So these places, they can collect money. Maybe a small, nimble firm, like he just mentioned, can take one transformer. Remember, you're buying power from the disco. So you're helping the disco improve their collection efficiency, right? Or you're buying it from, I don't know, it's possible you do eligible customer, right? But essentially, the Nigerian populace is winning because power is available, which is what I believe should happen. And the major crisis in the sector today, which is liquidity, will also be solved because this cash can be collected. I think if all the parties get on the table and we look at it from a win-win perspective, maybe the models on the table today may not be the best. Maybe we have to fine-tune it. Maybe we have to, like he said, the regulations are not written in gold. Maybe we have to erase some part and rewrite it. But if we look at it from a solution perspective as to how do we electrify a nation, how do we guarantee reliability? Remember that universal access speaks about reliable, affordable, clean, modern power for all, right? That's the goal. And if we look at it from that perspective, and then we bring everybody to the table, and then we try and solve for it. Like I said, maybe the franchising model today may not be it. Maybe we need to rewrite some things, but we must get to that point where we solve for the Nigerian populace, where we provide adequate power. And the liquidity crisis in the sector, we also solve it. And if franchising is the way to go, mini grid regulations are the way to go. Let's do it. Of course, let's make sure it's coherent. Of course, the disco will never be out of business.
Great.
We make sure it's also coherent and that everybody on the table wins. And then we have a solution.
Great, great. Well, thank you so much. So, I think it really has been, a very exciting session. Some things I think came out a few times during the conversation. I think the first one is we all agree, and there's a pilot that actually has demonstrated, and the mini grid developers also have demonstrated that yes, the adoption of IoT technology, smart technology, can actually help to improve performance, right? Now, when performance go up, I like the statistics that, hours of supply for Odida village improved from about 3 to 4 hours to 11 hours, just on the back of the fact that now there's more transparent billing, losses were manageable. So I think, that it's quite reassuring to know that the adoption of technology can help. The key question was, the network as we have it today, is this smart ready? There may be need to do some cleanup, but it has happened already. If it has happened in Odida village, I'm sure it can happen in my village. What do you think? Yeah. But if I have a personal comment to make, I think I'm also energy poor. So if we can have some of this in the urban centers as well, I think they'll be quite helpful. Yeah, I agree. Now, are there some things that need to be tweaked? I don't want to call them challenges, and I like the reference from, our retirees. You called yourself. Sorry, I didn't get your name. Dr. Okafor. You said nothing is written in gold. Those are your words. So we have heard that there may be the need to tweak the metering code so that metering specification. I think, personally, I aligned with the speaker there. I know we had engagements at NERC. Some of this I actually, supported or led the position that let us have a metering solution that works for the customer. So I think we are getting more voices along those lines. But as we have heard, the metering code will have to be reflective of this. And in the works is an IoT regulation, you have said, Prof. Okafor, which we hope can also feed into this. We have also talked about funding, yes. So, well, how can we get funding into the sector? I think if there's line of sight, better line of sight to the money, I think the fund is going to follow on the back of that. Something else Prof said, which I think is important, is perhaps the discos have very large operating area, right? And maybe the pilot is saying if there's a smaller manageable area, maybe there can be more focus in that direction. I think, yeah. So I think for me, I think the conversations seem to have gone well. What I would like to see is, we all watch Netflix these days, so I'd like to see season 2. Show us the money. Now we've proven the concept, right? So it'll be helpful to see where that money, is coming from. So those are the wrap up from me. I'll just allow the panelists for 2 minutes to just say final words, and then we'll bring this session to a close. Maybe we start from Onyinye this time.
Okay. A big thank you to the Electricity Hub. Thank you for these sessions have gone to the 70s in their numbers. I remember moderating the 50th version. Thank you for having me back. And let's give Nigerians power. That's it. Let's ensure reliability. Let's give every Nigerian power. Let's electrify one community at a time. Let's improve our operations. And let's make life easy for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you again. Prof?
Yeah. Quite interesting. It has been a very wonderful session. I thank you all. I was surprised when I saw the crowd. I think Nigerians are getting more and more interested in power. And that is a pointer to the fact that things are going to be well very soon. I believe that those of you working with the DisCos, there's need for pragmatism to really help to put together areas that you want the regulators to now do their own part. See, because if all you are waiting for is what the regulator says, then it's like you are pushing the thinking only to one side. It's important that you also come up with things you think will make the system better. And now put it out to the public so that the pressure will not only be from you, because you are the regulated. So, like I said before, your language must be tweaked. But if you put it open, some of us who are not part of the regulated could make it much more forceful. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Prof. Over to you, Tom.
And all the panelists here tonight, and all everyone for coming in and for your questions. I think sometimes where the investment is required, but we feel strongly that tech
Great. Thank you very much. On that note, I'll say thank you, everyone. To our viewers online as well, thank you. We got your questions. Apologies, we couldn't go through all of them, but thank you for making it a very great evening. Thank you.
Please, can we put our hands together for our panelists again? Thank you very much, Bade. Thank you. Prof. Thank you, Tom and Onyinye. Thank you very much. It was nice having you. I just want to acknowledge the presence of some important people in our midst. I would not say people, organizations now, because each person here is a unit of an organization. So I want to thank UKNIAF. I can see representatives from UKNIAF, MBET, NEMSA, RMI, BP, TCN, REA, PAR Africa, ADC, EMRC, Conexa, C-Solar, Upaka Energy, next year, of course, KPMG. Is a lot, is a lot. So, Okra Solar, we have FGN Power Co. We also have FCDA here. We have NDLEA. It's just a lot. Can you please put your hands together for yourselves? Thank you very much for coming. Very quickly, please. When you make posts about, I believe that this session has been an interesting one and very insightful too. I, for one, I can testify it has been really insightful. I want to say that when you make posts on social media, do well to tag the Electricity Hub and Next Year Power. Also follow us on our social media handles at the Electricity Hub. You can also, if you want to take this conversation further, or if you want to take this conversation further or make some inquiries, you can send us an email at the hub at theelectricityhub.com or info@theelectricityhub.com. We also do adverts. You can reach out to us on our emails. Thank you very much. Back at the back there, we have drinks and small chops for you, just a token of appreciation for your time. So do well to stay back, take a drink, relax, take pictures with everybody here before you go home. Good night, everyone.